This morning we're going to be talking about angles. Before you could understand angles, you first of all have to understand some rules, basic rules that go with angles. And I'm going to go this morning by giving you, first of all, the basic rules. One of the first rules that you have to know is different shapes and the angles that make up these different shapes. So I'm going to start out with the basic shapes. So the first shape that we're going to look at is called a triangle. A triangle has 3 sides. It also has 3 angles. The 3 angles in a triangle is supposed to add up to 180 degrees. It's called a triangle. 3 sides will add up to 180 degrees. Now, most times when you're given a triangle to find a missing angle, they will give you 2 angles. If it's just a triangle and you're asked to find a missing angle, they will give you 2 angles, and you're then going to have to find the missing angle. So here's an example. This one is 56 degrees. This one is 70 degrees. So that's 56 degrees and that's 70 degrees. Now I am supposed to find the missing angle, and I'm going to call this angle X. My missing angle is angle X. In order for me to find angle X, I am going to take the 2 angles that I am given, one of which is 56 degrees and the other is 70 degrees. I'm going to add those 2 angles. So now let us add 56 plus 70. That's a 6. 7 plus 5 is 12. And that's going to give me a total of 126 degrees. I am now going to take 180 and I am going to subtract 126 from 180. 6 from 10 is 4 and 2 from 7 is 5. That means my missing angle, angle X, is going to be equal to 54 degrees. Okay, so I'm just reviewing basic angles, and the first one, as I said, is a triangle. The triangle has 3 sides. 3 sides add up to 180 degrees, and so I need to add the given sides and then subtract that from 180 to find the missing angle. And it doesn't matter how the triangle is turned. As long as I'm given 2 angles, I can always find the missing angles. Now, triangles can stretch a little bit further because, of course, we know we have different types of triangles. Welcome to class. You can take out your book. I'm doing angles. We have different types of triangles. So here goes a triangle, which is a right angle triangle. The angles in the triangle does not change. It is 180 degrees. Angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. But this little box here becomes very important now. Right here, this little box says that this is a right angle triangle. And this little box also has a meaning. This box says right here is going to be 90 degrees. So that's important for us to know. Now they would not put 90 in that box if you're in the exam. Nobody would put 90 degrees in this box. They would give you 40 and they would test to see if you know what is a right angle triangle. So that right there is your clue for that angle. That's 90 degrees. So we're going to follow the same procedure, same principle. We are now going to add 90 plus 40, and 90 plus 40 is going to give me 9 plus 4 is 13, 130. I have 180, take away 130, and so my missing angle is going to be 50 degrees. So I'm going to call that angle X again. X equals 50 degrees. Now I could use any letter, of course. Any letter can be used. Okay, so that's the right angle triangle. As I said, we have different types of triangles that they will use, you could use, and you will have to find the angles. We're talking simply about angles right here. So let's use another type of triangle, which is one that is called an isosceles triangle. It is called an isosceles triangle. Now, what do I know about the isosceles triangle? It has two equal sides. And because it has two equal sides, it has two equal angles. And so they could give me one angle here. I'm just going to put 50 right there. Then they could ask me to find x, and they could also ask me to find y. But I have to follow the rules in a what? Isosceles triangle. And what does the rule say? The rule say we have two equal sides. We also have two equal angles. So this little stroke here is the important thing to look for in my isosceles triangle, because this little stroke here tells me that this side is equal to this side. So I'm looking for the stroke. This side is equal to this side. It therefore means that this angle is also equal to this angle. So right away I could tell what is angle x by simply saying if this is 50, then x is also going to be 50 degrees. Now, if I find these two, as I said, once you have two, then it's very easy for you to find the third one. Because all I'm doing now is to add 50 plus 50, and that's going to be 100, and I'm subtracting that from 180. 100 from 180, I am left with 80, and so y is therefore going to be 80 degrees. Now, that's one way they'll turn the isosceles triangle. And there's another way that they'll give you a question on the isosceles triangle. So, let's take this triangle down and let's put up another example of how you can get an isosceles triangle. Okay, now here's an angle, and they tell me that this up here is 30 degrees, and then they give me that and that. Now the rule says two equal sides, angles at the bottom are going to be two equal angles. And so this time what I know is the angle here, and what I'm trying to find is the two angles that are equal angles. In this case, I'm now going to take 180 and I'm going to subtract the 30 which is given, and I am left with 150. So 150 represents these two angles at the bottom. And because they're equal angles, it means that I'm going to divide 150 by 2. 2 into 150 is going to give me 75. So let's call this x and x in this case. X is equal to 75 degrees. And I call it x and x because whatever is in one is going to be the same thing in the other. So it is x and x, 75 degrees each. Okay, so that's my isosceles triangle. So as I said, the isosceles triangle, you can be given two things. You can be given a similar angle, asked to find the other angle which is equal, or you can be given the opposite angle and asked to find the two angles at the base. Okay, that's my triangle, isosceles triangle, and let's move to the next triangle that I can be asked to find, which is what is called the equilateral triangle. This one is called an equilateral triangle. Now, what do I know about the equilateral triangle? The equilateral triangle has all angles are equal. In my equilateral triangle, all angles are equal. And so in this case, they didn't give me any figure. And so somebody's going to say, so how am I going to find the missing angle? So call this P, Q, and R. Or I could call it P all the way around. Now if you see P all the way around, that's going to be easy because all I'm looking at is 3P equals 180 degrees. So P is going to be equal to 180 divided by 3. And here comes simple equation in the problem. 180 divided by 3, which is going to give me 60. But that should be a given. That should be a no. Equilateral triangle, all the angles are equal. So in an equilateral triangle, all angles add up to 180 degrees. Each angle will be 60 degrees.